Good afternoon, all, and on behalf of Applied Theatre India Foundation and Indian Council for Cultural Relations, I welcome you all in the 10th session of first ever two-day virtual conference on role of applied theatre in Indian society. We focuses the need and significance of applied theatre in all areas like education, corporates, society. Recently, the new National Education Policy of India is declared. Is there any focus on applied theatre? Our speaker of this session, Shri Abhishek, present their research on it. I welcome Shri Abhishek Goswami. Abhishek Goswami is from Jaipur. He has a postgraduate degree in dramatic art, has acted in and directed more than 30 plays for children and adults. Abhishek has received training in theatre of the operas in German, methods of theatre pedagogy for Shakespeare in the classroom. Currently, he is working with Azim Premji Foundation. I request Shri Abhishek sir to share your thoughts on new national education policy of India and its implications on applied theatre practices and practitioners. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Vaishali ji. Thank you. So before I start my presentation, I would like to thank Applied Theatre India Foundation and ICCR for selecting my paper presentation for first virtual international conference on applied theatre and society. I have chosen my topic, New National Education Policy of India and its implication on applied theatre practices and practitioners. So I would like to share my paper through a PPT presentation. So here I'm going to share my screen first. Before coming to my presentation, first I would like to extend my sincere thanks to the Applied Theatre India Foundation, Pune and Indian Council for Cultural Relations, Delhi, for selecting my paper presentation for this first international webinar on applied theatre organized by Applied Theatre India Foundation. At this moment, I would also like to thank Azim Premji Foundation because without working in the same as teacher educator, it was not possible for me to broaden my vision, to look deep into the practices of theater and drama in education in entirety of the ecosystem of child's formal education. When I say entirety of the ecosystem of child's formal education, I mean about the reciprocal relationship between the child and socio-cultural, economic, and political environment in which a child is born, socialized, and be educated. This entirety of the ecosystem of child's formal education can be understood best through the diagram of Bronfenbrenner's model of child development as next. The diagram will also help locate the position of applied theatre in society and work as a context for my presentation. So here we go for our next slides. So model presented here is a ecological model of child development in which child is in the center and other environmental factors are uh, around the child. So when we say ecological system, it means the family in immediate surrounding of child is there, siblings are there, peers are there. If we go beyond, there are extended family, school board, neighborhoods, mass media, parents' work environment, and then we go beyond. We see laws, culture, economic system, social condition, and history in which a lives. Child live. Though I think that the topic of my paper, National Education Policy of India and its implication on applied theatre practices and practitioners, is quite straightforward and self-explanatory. But in order to share my understanding on the issue of paper, I would like to share it into three parts, which are as follow. So first part of my presentation would be on explanation of my understanding on the key questions, terms relevant for the issues. Second part of my presentation would be on salient features of the National Education Policy 2020, which are the most relevant for applied theatre practices and practitioners. Third part of my presentation will be on implications of the NEP 2020 on applied theatre practices and practitioners in terms of the major scope and challenges. So here I go for my first part of the presentation. I begin my presentation with a little necessary explanation of my conceptual understanding on some basic question or the key terms to be used by me in the paper. The question or key terms are as follow. What is education? What is national education policy? What is an education system? What is applied theatre and who is an applied theatre practitioner? So when we talk about what is education, for me, education is the simple process of learning and knowing. It is not restricted to the schools only. Education starts from the mother's lap. Parents and family inculcate good manners and make responsible citizens out of their children. Home is called first school of the children, but the formal education starts from the school, where they are taught how to behave and understand what is going on around them. Education is very important for every human being. It makes one able to understand what is happening around us logically and clearly. Only educated person can take practical decision and make right moves at the right time. Human existence without education is just like land. Education not only enables individuals to put their potential to best use and do something productive in the upcoming future, but also plays a main role in shaping an individual to be a better, responsible citizen and an active member of the society. An educated person with self confidence and precise moves knows how to transform the world. Education provides the ladder for achieving success in life and enables us to utilize skills and caliber in a constructive way. Therefore, it's the prime responsibility of an individual to get educated and live a prosperous life while being a responsible citizen. So this was my first question. This was just to share my understanding on the education. My second question was, what is national education policy? When I use the word policy, I mean about the broader framework of the vision and suggestive action plan about something to achieve at collective level. The said framework can express and comprise of the philosophical idea, social imagination and aspirations, realization of necessities, evaluation of capacities, values to be adhered, guiding principles, and just suggestive plans for action with indicative timelines before the implementation of any task to be accomplished at wider level in future. National education policy is hence referring to the principle and government policy making in educational sphere, as well as the collection of laws and rules that govern the operation of education system. Education occurs in many forms for many purposes through many institutions. Example include early childhood education, kindergarten through to 12th grade, 2 and 4 year college or universities, graduate and professional education, adult education, and job training. Therefore, education policy can directly affect the education people engage in at all ages. Example of areas subject to debate in education policy always, specifically from the field of school, include school class size, school choice, school privatization, tracking, teacher education, and certification. teacher pay, teaching method, curricular content, graduation requirements, school infrastructure investment, and the values that school are expected to uphold the model. My on what is applied theater and drama. Practice around the world, applied theater is a general term describing the use of drama in a participatory ways and often in non-traditional settings to address social issues. It can be described as the use of theater as a tool rather than simply as an entertainment. I took this definition from Mandala Center for Change. In the Academy of the Theatre, applied theatre is generally accepted as an umbrella term, embracing a wide range of theatre practices that share an intentionality to provoke or shape social change, including theatre in education, theatre for development, youth theatre, disability theatre, museum theatre, reminiscence theatre, and prison theatre. As we all must be aware of that, the applied theatre has developed alongside progressive radical people's movement in various places around the world. In many cases, the left-leaning politics of these antecedents movements has shaped both the aesthetic and pedagogic intents of applied theatre practices. Central to these theatrical movements has been the development of new sets of relationships between actor and the audience. The onus of a participatory theater is on creating actors, not for the stage, but actors for, on, and with the world. Much applied theater continues to derive its aesthetic from forms of theater and performance that challenge or subvert political and social hegemonies. Applied theater be part of a wider theater movement that enables, as Getty has argued, the disinherited classes to create a theater that reflected their concern, not through performances for them, but with them. So it was my uh, response to the question, what is applied theater and drama? It reflects my understanding as well and the theoretical definitions of the same one. So now I come to the question, who is an applied theater practitioner? Going by the Freire and Boylan framework of the pedagogy and theater of the opera is, for me, an applied theater practitioner is the person of society who facilitate the aesthetic and embodied dialogue between society and social situations. By using theater as a dialogical space for exploring what to do when confronting a certain problems. The applied theater practitioner applies a meiotic attitude, a Socratic mode of inquiry, which aims to bring a person's latent ideas into clear consciousness. In the whole framework, an applied theater practitioner is not pregnant with the solution to the problems of the community, but for him or her, the community is pregnant with the response to its own problems. He or she is just there to help the community or individuals give birth to such responses through dramatic inquiry. After a necessary explanation of the key terms, now I expect to draw the attention of the readers on salient feature of National Education Policy of India 2020, which will be relevant for us to reach at common shared understanding on the implications of NEP 2020 on applied theatre practices and the practitioners. So here are some key features of NEP 2020 which are relevant. If we look at the vision of New Education Policy 2020, it says it states that this national education policy envisions an education system rooted in Indian ethos that contributes directly to transforming India, that is Bharat, sustainably into an equitable and vibrant knowledge society by providing high quality education to all, and thereby making India a global knowledge and superpower. The policy envisages that the curriculum and pedagogy of our institution must develop among the students a deep sense of respect towards the fundamental duties and constitutional values, bonding with one's country, and a conscious awareness of one's roles and responsibility in a changing world. The vision of the policy is to instill among the learners a deep rooted pride in being Indian, not only in thought, but also in spirit, intellect, the deeds, as well as to develop knowledge, skills, values, and dispositions that support responsible commitment to human rights, sustainable development and living, and global well being, thereby reflecting a truly global citizen. So, if you look at the vision of national education policy, we can clearly see that this is going to have a very strong implication on applied theatre practices and practitioners. If you look at the principles of new education policy, it says the purpose of the education system is to develop good human being capable of rational thought and action, possessing compassion and empathy, courage and resilience, scientific temper and creative imagination, with sound ethical moorings and values. It aims at producing engaged, productive, and contributing citizens for building an equitable, inclusive, and plural society as envisaged by our Constitution. A good education institution is one in which every student feels welcomed and cared for, where a safe and stimulating learning environment exists, where a wide range of learning experiences are offered, and where good physical infrastructure and appropriate resources conducive to learning are available to all students. Attaining these quality must be the goal of every educational institution. However, at the same time, there must also be seamless integration and coordination across institutions and across all stages of education. The fundamental principle that will guide both the education system at large as well as the individual institution within it are. Now we come to guiding principles. So, in guiding principles, this National Education Policy 2020 says it should recognize, identify, and foster the unique capabilities of each student by sensitizing teachers as well as parents to promote each student's holistic development in both academic and non-academic skills. According the highest priority to achieving foundational literacy and numeracy by all students by grade 3. Flexibility so that learners can choose their learning trajectories and programs and thereby choose their own paths in life according to their talents and interests. No hard separation between arts and science, between curricular and extracurricular activities, between vocational and academia streams, etc. In order to eliminate harmful hierarchies among and silos between different areas of learning. Multidisciplinary and a holistic education across the science, social science, arts, humanities, and sports for a multidisciplinary world in order to ensure the unity and integrity of all knowledge. Emphasis on conceptual understanding rather than rote learning and learning for exams. Creativity and critical thinking to encourage logical decision making and innovation. Ethics and human and constitutional values like empathy, respect for others, cleanliness, courtesy, democratic spirit, spirit of service, respect for public property, scientific temper, liberty, responsibility, pluralism, equality, and justice. Promoting multilingualism and the power of language in teaching and learning. Life skills such as communication, cooperation, teamwork, and resilience. Focus on regular formative assessment for learning rather than the summative assessment that encourages today's coaching culture. Extensive use of technology in teaching and learning, removing language barriers, increasing access for the young students, and educational planning and management. Respect for diversity and respect for the local context in all curriculum, pedagogy, and policy, always keeping in mind that education is a concurrent subject. Full equity and inclusion as the core cornerstone of all educational decisions to ensure that all students can thrive in the education system. Synergy in curriculum across all levels of education from early childhood care and education to school education to higher education. Teachers and faculty as the heart of the learning process. Their recruitment, continuous professional development, positive working environments, and service conditions. The light but tight regulatory framework to ensure integrity, transparency, and resource efficiency of the educational system through audit and public disclosure, while encouraging innovation and out of the box ideas through autonomy, good governance, and empowerment. Outstanding research as a core requisite for outstanding education and development. Continuous review of progress based on sustained research and regular assessment by educational experts. A rootedness and pride in India and its rich, diverse, ancient, and modern culture and knowledge system and traditions. Education is a public service. Access to quality education must be considered a basic right of every child. Substantial investment in a strong, vibrant public education system, as well as the encouragement and facilitation of true philanthropic private and community participation. Reduce curriculum content to enhance essential learning and critical thinking. So these were some guiding principles. On the basis of these guiding principles, there will be National Curriculum Framework revision, National Curriculum Framework 2000. After 2005, there will be new National Curriculum Framework after this new education policy, based upon the guiding principles of the policy. And there will also be a National Curriculum Framework for teacher education, which is both the framework has to be done now. If we look at the focus of this policy, the policy says there should be holistic development of the learners. In fourth chapter, point 4, the key overall thrust of curriculum and pedagogy reform across all stages will be the move the education system towards real understanding and towards learning how to learn, and away from the culture of rote learning as is largely present today. The aim of education will not only be cognitive development, but also building character and creating holistic and well-rounded individuals equipped with the key 21st century skills. Ultimately, knowledge is a deep-seated treasure and education helps in its manifestation as the perfection which is already within an individual. All aspects of curriculum and pedagogy will be reoriented and revamped to attain these critical goals. Specific sets of skills and values across domains will be identified for integration and incorporation at each stage of learning from preschool to higher education. Curriculum framework and transaction mechanism will be developed for ensuring that these skills and values are imbibed through engaging processes of teaching and learning. NCERT will identify these required skill sets and include mechanism for their transactions in the National Curriculum Framework for Early Childhood and School Education. Second focus is on experiential learning. Uh, there are so many points, but I have chosen the point from National Education Policy which are relevant to applied theatre practices and practitioners. So this policy says about experiential learning. It advocates experiential learning in all stages. It says that in all stages, experiential learning will be adopted, including hands-on learning, arts integrated and sports integrated education, storytelling-based pedagogy, among others, as a standard pedagogy within each subject and with exploration of relations among different subjects. To close the gap in achievement of learning outcomes, classroom transactions will shift towards competency-based learning and education. The assessment tools, including assessment as, of, and for learning, will also be aligned with the learning outcomes, capabilities, and disposition as specified for each subject for a given class. 4.7 says art integration is a cross-curricular pedagogical approach that utilizes various aspects and forms of art and culture as the basis for learning of concepts across the subjects. As a part of the thrust on experiential learning, art integrated education will be embedded in classroom transaction, not only for creating joyful classrooms, but also for imbibing the Indian ethos through integration of Indian art and culture in the teaching and learning process at every level. This art integrated approach will strengthen the linkages between education and culture. So here were some points from National Education Policy, which says about holistic uh, development of a child, and to develop child holistically, there should be experiential learning. Now, here comes the third part of my presentation, which is implication on applied theatre practices and practitioners. So, if we carefully look at the vision, guiding principles, and recommendation about the specific educational processes in NEP, we can clearly infer that we, as an aspirant of a democratic society in true sense, need the future citizenry as good human beings capable of rational thought and action, possessing compassion and empathy, courage and resilience, scientific temper and creative imagination, with sound ethical moorings and values, and we know which can't be achieved without the inclusion of arts in general and the theater and drama specifically in entire educational processes. Based on my previous experience of working as theater and drama in education practitioner for children earlier, and now as curriculum developer and facilitator for teacher professional development program of various kind in the domain of drama in education, here I'm trying to make an attempt to put certain intuitive ideas about the forthcoming scope and challenges for applied theater practices and practitioners in India. Before we go to draw some conclusion on the implication of NEP 2020 on applied theater practices and practitioners in terms of its scope and challenges, it will be helpful for all of us to also look at two things prior to that as follow. The basic data of the universe of the school and teacher education in India. And second is focus of the education of children and teachers through the lens of earlier national curriculum framework for school education and teacher education 2005 and 2009 respectively. So here are some basic data. Largely the data is collected from the year 2015-16 because the new education policy was started drafting afterwards. So I took the data of 2015 and 16. So if we look at the schools in India, there are three types of schools generally. Based on management, we can categorize in three categories. One is government school, second is government aided school, and third are private unaided school. So if you look at the data, around 11 lakh 2,783 government schools are there in India, which are fully government schools. Second, government aided school, and 83,787 schools are there which are registered in government data, or which are government aided schools. Private unaided schools are 3,35,776 schools are there. If we make a grand total of these schools, total schools in India are 15 lakh 22,346. So I'm just sharing this data because as a applied theater practitioner, we should be aware of the universe in which we are looking for the scope and the challenges. The next is students. How many students are studying in which type of schools? So in government school, there are 13.1 crore children are studying. In private aided and unaided school, 11.9 crore children are studying. Total around 25 crore children are studying in the school. When I say school means class 1 to 12th. And here is some basic data of teacher education colleges in India. As per the claim by MHRD in 2015-16, the total number of teachers teaching in Indian schools were 86 lakh 91,922. These are the in-service teachers, those who are already in the job. And below are the data of teacher education institution in India, number of recognized teacher education institution colleges in India. Total number of teacher education colleges in India are 16,917. And in these colleges, 24,199 courses are offered. So after going through the basic structural data, now I'm coming to the point what earlier national curriculum framework says about the inclusion of arts, or what kind of teacher it demands. Though the revision of National Curriculum Framework for School Education and the National Curriculum Framework for Teacher Education yet to be done very soon in alignment with the NEP's revision, guiding principle and suggested structure, but the fundamental of the nature and function of theater and drama in education will ever remain the same at theoretical level. So here I am putting the objective for the education of children in dramatic arts and the expectation for teacher education are mentioned in National Curriculum Framework 2005 and National Curriculum Framework for Teacher Education 2009, respectively, which will help us to draw the implication. If we look at National Curriculum Framework 2005, objectives of dramatic arts education in schools are like this. In pre-primary school, it says that drama should be included in the school curriculum to engage children in joyful activity, to help children to observe their environment and immediate surrounding be curious, and develop imagination leading to visualization. To encourage the child to express freely and spontaneously. To develop children's psychomotor skills. To develop emotional expressions, communication, language skills, and creative expression. To introduce children to the basics of rhythm and melody. To explore and distinguish different kinds of sound, such as melodious and musical. At primary stage, again, the experience, joy or enjoyment continues, and with some addition of the objective to make children conscious of the good and the beautiful in their environment, including their classroom, school, home, and community through an integrated learning approach which a child enjoys. To help the child freely express his or her ideas and emotion about different aspects life through different art forms. To develop all the senses of the child through keen observation, curious exploration, and spontaneous expression. To enable children to understand the body, its movements, and its coordination. To make children familiar with their immediately local or regional art forms. To develop a sense of rhythm to breath as well as external expression. To enable children to identify different forms of classical music and dance. In upper primary stage, National Curriculum Framework 2005 says drama should be included to develop a sense of organization, the power of observation and concentration in the children, to enhance their imagination and support self-discovery, to help children create and organize their own ideas and perception through body movements, to impart understanding of human relations and their conflicts, to use drama as a technique in establishing peace and harmony in the school. At secondary stage, it says that drama should be included to foster self-awareness and expression, to create aesthetic awareness and develop imagination, to enhance confidence in movement and speech, to strengthen concentration and logical organization of the ideas, thus developing the power of analytical thinking, to develop tolerance and sensitivity towards oneself and others in the society, to develop appropriate attitudes towards oneself and others through creative expression, to understand inner and outer conflicts of life and help find solution, to integrate learning experiences of other subjects into drama. At higher secondary stage, to develop sensitivity towards self, others, and towards one's own environment again, to help learners understand their own personality through a deeper understanding of self, to help learners strengthen their power of observation, concentration, reasoning, imagination, and analysis, to get an understanding of different dramatic modes, to familiarize learner with drama as an art form, comprehend its aesthetic value, and develop a sense of appreciation for it, to expose them to Indian art and culture and develop respect for it, to prepare and equip learner for future life and better adjustment and understanding of human nature. This was all about National Curriculum 2005, which speaks about the education of children. Here I am putting some focus of National Curriculum Framework for Teacher Education 2009, which talks about the kind of teacher we want in future. The kind of teacher and teacher education we have envisioned.
Abhishek, we have last 1 minute.
Okay. So this can be read in detail in the paper. I just want to conclude my paper with the scopes ahead. So, since I am a worker of theatre and drama in education, which is considered as a significant practice under the umbrella of applied theatre and drama, so considering NEP 2020 with the help of basic structural data and recommendation of earlier National Curriculum Framework for children's education and teacher education, I would like to draw the attention of the readers in terms of scope and challenges on the theatre and drama in education and has in its future. When I use the terms theatre and drama in education, I consider multiple theoretical position of the same with a little elaboration as follow, which is not I'm going to tell now. That those are theatre in education, theatre for young audience, If you look at the scope of theater in education and theater for young audience, uh, I can say that quality in the education of the children not solely dependent on the classroom transaction designed and executed by the teacher, but it also depends on the several socio-cultural inputs received by the children outside the classroom in whole school environment, which are in alignment of the broader aims of education. Going by the premise, considering a vision, guiding principle, and recommendation in NCF 2005 and 2009 about teacher education, we can, we as the member of community of applied theater practitioners should be very happy to infer that it has a very much significant implication on the theater for children. Theater in education and theater for young audience as socio-cultural intervention can be a potential strategy in order to develop future citizenry as good human beings capable of rational thought and action, possessing compassion and empathy, courage and resilience, scientific temper and creative imagination with sound ethical mooring and values. And let's talk about drama in education a little bit. So I can say we as the member of community of applied theater practitioners should be very happy to infer that it has a very significant implication on the position of drama in education and its scope for teacher and teacher professional development. As we know, drama is proven as constructive and critical pedagogy, which can contribute to develop future citizenry as good human being, capable of rational thought and action, and what national policy uh, aims at. So what are the challenges ahead I see are the social and cultural aspiration, political will for implementation, scale in terms of scale, finance, and ensuring quality of the execution. Finally, is the readiness of the applied theater and drama community. I think that there is a big challenge. I think that applied theater practitioners should have depth and breadth understanding of nature of human being and society, uh, theories of social change, constitutional morality and constitutional values, educational philosophy, psychology of learning, nature of knowledge, curriculum and pedagogy, national education policy, national curriculum framework, curriculum syllabus and textbooks relationship, principle of curriculum development, nature and functions of dramatic arts in education. So these are some challenges which I see along with the scopes I just wanted to mention. So this
Yes,
paper
sir.
could be read in detail. I am going to end it here now.
Oh, thank you so much, sir. Your session was. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Uh, Now we'll have a small break and we'll be back at 3 p.m. with speaker Srividya Srinivas from Bangalore. Thank you so much.